Yeah, before we start, let me tell you one thing. The Checkmk agent is secure. So, why are we talking today? It's just because we want to make your life a bit easier. You know this term or similar? Yes, certainly. As IT professionals, you have to be compliant to certain security requirements in your company. If they deny to run services under root, you currently need a workaround to run the Checkmk agent. That's why we now come up with a new feature set for running the agent under a non-root user. Let's briefly recap what's happening when invoking the agent. The server calls the agent controller via TCP. The agent controller then queries the agent script via a local Unix socket that is available for a CMK agent user only, without sending any data, by the way. So the agent script doesn't receive any data from outside and can't be influenced to do anything malicious. Behind the Unix socket, the agent script is executed as root to be able to collect all data it needs. The response takes it way back to the Checkmk server, again via the agent controller. This is a good trade-off between security and simplicity. Still, we see a growing demand for more stripped-down privileges in Checkmk 2.4. We want to support more non-root capabilities out of the box. Let's see what we did. First, we have to talk about a feature that looks a bit different, but we will see. In Checkmk 2.4, it's possible to deploy all agent files under one single directory. This is how it's currently done and how you probably all know it. Libraries under userlib, configuration files under etc, runtime data under varlib, binaries under userbin, and, well, the agent controller's home directory. While this seems quite natural for a Linux system software, it's not convenient. We are even violating conventions. For example, replace config files coming from the agent bakery under etc and tell you not to touch them. Now we offer a different approach. Everything under one directory. It's OPT Checkmk agent by default, and yes, this is configurable. Obviously, you have a much better overview of all agent files, but also of the permissions. If a parent directory is not world accessible, you don't need to worry about the subfolders. There's more to it. Instead of the classic approach, we divide our files into two subfolders, package and runtime. Package contains all static files that are coming with the agent and that are not meant to be edited. You can still administer your installation and place your own plugins here, but all files located here are not meant to change when running the agent. Runtime contains all data that's produced when running the agent, like state files, registration, caches, logs, and so on. And files that will eventually be created from the outside, like mkjob and spool files. We think that this approach is clearly superior to our previous one. But we don't want to force you, so this deployment mode is optional, at least for now, and must be activated via bakery ruleset. Oh, and you may have noticed that there is a default after the actual agent installation path. This is because there is a small bonus that comes with a single directory deployment. It serves as an enabler for installing multiple agent packages on one system. We are not there yet, but we decided to start with a fixed default subfolder to leave future options open. Good, you might say. But how does this help to run the agent under a non-root user? In a normal root deployment, all files are owned by root. with the exception of the agent controller's home directory, which kind of was the first step towards not running everything under root. When we now decide to use a new single directory deployment, it's much easier to grant the non-root agent user the needed permissions. All files under package are still root-owned, since there is no need to change them for the agent user. Some files, like the ship binaries and the agent plugins, are globally readable. All other files that the agent user needs to access, like protected configuration files that may contain secrets, now get the group ownership of the agent user. That way, only the agent user can access these files, but not manipulate them. In contrast, since the agent is now operated under the agent user, the runtime directory is completely under their ownership. Let's have a look at what this looks like. Here you can see the first two levels of the agent's folder structure. Only showing the folders here, but the files, they follow the same logic. All package files are owned by root, while all runtime files are owned by the agent user. Some package subfolders are world accessible, while some are only accessible but not writable by the agent user. The script subfolder even is only accessible by root, because it's only needed on installation or agent update. The runtime directory is accessible only for the agent user, so no information below can be leaked. Now we are able to run the agent script under a non-root user, and we can access all our files. The good news is the Checkmk agent already runs pretty well now, and without showing any errors in the monitoring. There are just some commands or executables that are only accessible via root. How can we access them as unprivileged user? Let's do it like this clever guy, with sudo. So there's some code. Don't read it now, we'll go through it. And don't worry, it's just some lines in the agent script that we've added. No C++, no Rust. They are always there by default, by the way, not only in an explicit non-root deployment. Our approach is kept very simple. When running the agent script, a simple environment variable root or sudo is initialized that's set based on the agent user. For root, this is empty, but for a non-root user, this will contain a sudo command. Then, when encountering certain commands that require a privileged user, the variable is just added to optionally run it with sudo. As you can see, it's also exported to subprocesses, so you can also use this in your own shell-based agent plugins. But now, you still need to allow the agent user to run the sudo commands. The bad news is, you have to do it yourself. We don't want to offer a non-root feature where a user has root access by default. The good news is, the agent package comes with a sudo as template that you can use to quickly install all needed permissions for all commands that we thought of. When you open the template, you will be welcomed by a brief how-to that tells you where you can place the files. And a disclaimer that tells you this file is called template for a reason. Please challenge it with your own security requirements before copying it blindly and modify it accordingly. Yeah, well, this essentially means you are in control here. Using the template is optional, of course. You can also grant the agent user the needed sudo access completely manually. Below that, you can actually find some sudo's command specs. Among others, you can find the two mail queue and DM setup commands that we just saw in the agent script. Feel free to add your own specs for your own plugins. This is where our current approach stops. We have a pretty well-running non-root agent script now that you can enable with minimal effort. However, the sudo approach is limited to shell scripts, and we didn't touch any agent plugins yet. If you need to access something different under non-root, let's say you want to monitor a protected log file, this remains your responsibility for now. We plan to roll out our non-root approach further, so stay tuned. But now, how does this look like on the configuration? If you needed a custom installation directory or user in the past, you probably know the two rule sets to the left. Installation path for agent files lets you configure the agent path to your needs and hope that it still works. Run agent as non-root user lets you set the agent user. Nothing more. Good luck. For the single directory and non-root deployments, we now offer a new rule set that's called Customize Agent Package. It's there to handle all fundamental agent package topics, so new features may come in eventually and will be added here. By that, the rule sets to the left are becoming obsolete, and we plan to deprecate them. For now, the new rule set, if configured, will win over the old ones, and you can encounter a polite warning not to use them any longer. In the future, we hope that they can go for good. Finally, let's have a look at the new rule set and go through it step by step. As soon as the rule set is active, the agent will be deployed under the new single directory. The default path is opt checkmk agent. The non-root part is optional. Vice versa, the rule set ensures that you can only choose a non-root user when activating the single directory deployment. The username is configurable and defaults to CMK agent. But there are more options for the user. You can also optionally set a custom user ID and/or group ID. And choose a strategy for the user creation on the monitored host. With automatic, the agent installation scripts will create your user if it's not there, or reuse an existing one. The optional UID, GID setting will be taken into account. If this fails for some reason, the agent installation will skip to set the non-root permissions, but continue, so you can at least repair the situation with an agent update. This is another example. We can choose our own path and user, but we knew that already. We can also forbid the creation of a new user. The installation scripts will then check for existence, including UID and GID if set. And there's one little bonus to catch here. We can also configure the agent controller user in root deployment mode. Again, with the same options. Let's recap what's in. With a new non-root feature set, you have two options. Either install the agent package in root deployment mode and be done, or choose the non-root deployment mode and be in full control. Now the Checkmk agent is secure and compliant. Now, before we wrap this up, I have one final request. Please read our fine manual. We wrote two works in the for the single directory and the non-root deployments. There are some details to catch, like the migration from single directory deployment and some other aspects. We also hope that you can make good sense out of the rule set's inline help. Finally, there is also a new paragraph in our official documentation that will guide you through this and that is more than worth reading. Nothing more to say. Thank you.